Welcome one, welcome all. I am Mark Paulda, a professional photographer. I have been in the photography business for well over 20 years. I want to help you succeed so you can earn money with your camera. With every episode, I will offer you sound advice so you can be part of the 15% of aspiring photographers who succeed. If you are looking for help to turn your passion for photography into a successful business, you have come to the right place. I have got the answers. My weekly episodes will help you understand how to market yourself, how to build a profitable business, and best business practices. No more feeling lost. You do not have to go it alone. Join my audio podcast and start taking my advice on turning your hobby into a profitable business. You will get access to a professional photographer and the best practices that I have learned and experienced over the years. If you have questions along the way, definitely email me. mark@markpaulda.com. You are also invited to join my photography success text community. Send me a text. 915-226-0959. If you are outside the United States, be sure to include +1, the United States country code. Let's get started. Tips for self-assigned photography projects. Many years ago, I read an interesting article about a self-assigned project in National Geographic magazine. It was about a guy who, for reasons that escape me now, was destined to move from the city to the wilderness. I do not recall if this was a work-based move, or if it was just because he wanted a change of scenery. But I do remember that he specifically set himself a daily photographic challenge to make one interesting image each day. I sort of scoffed at this idea because I thought at the time it was not much, until I went on to read that he was using an old view camera to do this. Essentially a mechanical camera designed to shoot only one frame at a time onto 5x4-inch sheet film. Because these cameras take time to set up, compose, and shoot, plus it was revealed he limited himself to one sheet of film a day, I began to appreciate the difficulty of making the goal come true. And of course, do not forget that this was in pre-digital days, so unless he spent a lot of time on shooting Polaroids, single-shot positive film used to check exposure, lighting, and composition, before exposing his sheet of real film, he would have to be very thoughtful of the entire photographic process, from lighting, to composition, to exposure, and ultimately to achieving his goal. On reflection, this shooting process seems to be the direct opposite of how most photographers work today. With digital, we have a Polaroid type function built into the camera in the form of an almost instant pictorial result. Though we can check the lighting, composition, and color almost immediately on the LCD screen, we often do not, and then we curiously wonder why the result is not to our satisfaction. We have become lazy, assuming, incorrectly, that the fabulous technology packed into our cameras will somehow automatically correct everything that might go wrong with the shot. Clearly it does not, and one of the reasons why this happens is that we no longer look at the scene with photographer's eyes before pressing the shutter release button. To learn how to truly see an image, we have to think about the lighting first. Reflecting back to that previously mentioned National Geographic article, it cost the photographer $20 every time he pressed the shutter. i.e., unexposed film cost, plus processing. With that cost per shot, you might either just give up photography on the spot, or take up golf, or you might think a little more before taking the plunge and investing the money into the shot. You might also spend more time checking your results each time, to see if what you got was close to how you imagined it was going to be. Another negative effect that modern camera technology has had on our creativity is the rapid uptake of the zoom lens. Do not get me wrong, zooms are brilliant, and I use them all the time. But they can also make us very lazy, especially when it comes to composition. Although a good zoom can be used to create different compositional results simply by rotating the zoom ring, it does not stimulate creative thought nearly as effectively as when you have a non-zooming lens, a prime lens, which forces you to physically move to get the best angle, lighting, or mood. I am sure you all understand where I am coming from. What you will learn in this episode about self-assigned photo learning projects. 1. How to assign yourself photo projects. What to look for. 2. How to choose a subject that might challenge and ultimately help you develop your photographic style. 3. Ideas on how to get feedback on your work. 4. Learn about websites that provide professional photo feedback for those with commercial ambitions. The benefit of self-assigned learning projects. A self-assigned learning project is a terrific way of forcing yourself to move into new, and perhaps daunting areas of photography. A huge advantage of this kind of project is that you can complete assignments on a day-by-day, or weekly, basis from your own home, thus fitting it into your busy lifestyle. As an example, I am at my happiest when out shooting nature, especially if it is in a jungle, but that is an expensive exercise. If I want to try out a new lens, speed light, or nature shooting technique, I simply concentrate on the nature that is found in my neighborhood. It might not be quite as spectacular as a dawn drive through the Indonesia, but it can nevertheless provide some surprisingly good results while providing you with invaluable experience before you spend money on a big trip. I recently bought a speed light extender for illuminating distant scenes, and spent several hours at the local wetlands experimenting with the new gear. Pushing yourself to learn not only expands your technique, but also makes it easier to hit the ground running when you eventually land in a totally new location. Despite having shot weddings, fast-paced and unpredictable, for nearly a decade, one of my subject shortcomings has always been street portraiture, especially when I travel. To help me get into the zone, I often only take one lens out for the day. Inevitably, this is an 85mm portrait lens which, because it is not good for landscapes or interiors, forces me to deal with people. If I carry a wide zoom, I would probably take the easy path and shoot landscapes instead. Everything depends on what it is you would like to improve. Craft, subject matter, or just new gear. Learning to see. Number 1. Try disciplining yourself to shoot one interesting picture a day. If you are busy, and do not have much time, consider completing the exercise using a smartphone rather than a camera, and shoot at work, or perhaps when commuting. If a daily target is a little strenuous, try shooting one thoughtful image each week. And do not leave it to Photoshop to fix the result if it does not work out the way you wanted it to. Learn from your mistakes and apply what you learn next time you shoot. Learning to see. Number 2. Try shooting with a prime lens for a month. An obvious choice might be a 50mm lens because this is a useful focal length for many subjects. Its wide maximum aperture also produces sublime out-of-focus backgrounds. Plus, you can pick one up quite inexpensively, from around $130. If you do not own a prime lens, or do not want to buy one, I would set myself a specific focal length, let's say 40mm on your zoom lens, then hold it there by taping down the zoom ring so it does not move around. Use paper masking tape to do this. It is not too sticky and it is easy to remove. Learning to see. Number 3. I'd like to send students out with their cameras set to capture images in just black and white. Try this for a week or two. When you shoot in black and white, look at black and white images on the LCD screen. You will begin to think in black and white as well. This is far more creative than merely looking at a color shot on the LCD screen and then trying to imagine what it might look like once converted on your computer. Note: if the camera is set to record JPEGs only, you will get a black and white JPEG image. If it is set to shoot RAW files only, it looks black and white on the LCD but reverts to color once downloaded. If you set it to record RAW plus JPEG at the same time, it appears black and white on the LCD, but the RAW file will remain in color, giving you a choice once it is downloaded. Learning to see. Number 4. Another perception challenge is to spend a month or so shooting a subject that you have never tackled before. This could be anything from portraits to sports, landscapes, news events, or documenting the environment. We all tend to get our cameras out when we go on a trip, but it is actually far harder to create something interesting from the environment that you experience every day. So, a great place to start would be a series of images in your own neighborhood. Learning to see. Number 5. Move out of your comfort zone. Shoot at the opposite end of where you normally would shoot. For many, this might be to forget about general scenes and go very close, or maybe to shoot some still life arrangements. By changing your subject matter, depth of field, lighting, and point of focus will become new and provide a learning experience. Learning to see. Number 6. Become a photojournalist for a month. Shoot a series of pictures that tell stories. This might be events in your neighborhood, or something in the city. Maybe a festival, surf carnival, or even a country show. Any special events will do. Set yourself a goal of producing 5 to 10 images, and see if you can shoot and edit these to reflect the subject and atmosphere that you experienced at the time. As a bonus, photographers with such pictorial stories can always find better markets to sell their work, especially if the images are accompanied with appropriate text. Being a bit of a writer certainly helps. Feedback is vital. If setting a photographic project for yourself is not already hard enough, getting well-considered and constructive feedback on such efforts might be. As with any new skill, feedback, in the form of comments, marks, praise, or constructive criticism, can also be seen as an important learning tool. But this comes with certain risks. If no one ever gives you accurate and honest feedback on your work, You might continue in life thinking that you are the hottest photographic talent on the planet when you are not. Constructive feedback allows you to improve your craft. No one is really 100% perfect in what they do. Even some professional photographers will admit that there are usually things they might have done differently given the chance. Hindsight is a great thing. I think the trick is to positively seek out feedback, whether this be from a friend whose judgment you respect, a mentor at a camera club, or from postings on social media. Use feedback to learn from any mistakes that you might have made, and then try to improve on it for next time. Sometimes this can be tough. A rejection from a magazine or newspaper might be a depressing shock the first time it happens, but in reality it might have nothing to do with your image quality. It could just be because the images you submitted were not relevant to that publication at that time. Calling ahead to see what an editor is looking for is an excellent way of saving you a lot of time and angst. Conversely, if a submission is successful, it can be a huge boost to your confidence and would encourage you to stretch yourself even further. Tips for getting feedback. Post your work on photocentric social media. Try sites such as Flickr, SmugMug, Instagram, 500px, and maybe even Behance. Take any feedback with a pinch of salt, and only listen to constructive commentary. If you get negative reactions, and they are not backed up with a valid reason, ignore it and then move on. "I don't like this" is a meaningless phrase, but "I don't like this because the subject is not sharp, and the background is a bit distracting," carries a little more credibility. You could choose to ignore a remark like this, or have a good look to see if what they say is true, and then perhaps decide what you can do about the sharpness and the background the next time. Join a camera club. These organizations have regular competitions where the results are, usually, judged by visiting experts, professional photographers, or senior members from the club circuit. It is a good way to not only garner some meaningful feedback, but also to gain technical and creative knowledge from more experienced members in the club. Try signing up for a course. Most local evening, or adult education colleges, run photo courses. These are good places to meet like-minded people, learn new techniques and, hopefully, get critical feedback on your work. Sign up for an online photo class. This has the advantage of being available at any hour, so would suit time-poor students perfectly. I have been involved with online teaching for more than 10 years, and know that if you are a motivated student, you can get a lot out of the experience. Unlike face-to-face classes which have distinct time restrictions, an online environment is ideal, because you can ask a lot of questions over the week or month the course might run for, and therefore garner a great deal of valuable information. Upload your images to a specialized photo critique website. There are quite a few organizations that offer creative feedback to aspiring photographers. This is a better option than uploading your work to Flickr, for example, because the commentators are all professionals. A genuine thank you for joining me today for this episode. If you are serious about success in the photography business, then I am serious and ready to help. Visit markpaulda.mentor.com and discover a variety of ways I can help you in your journey. If you have questions along the way, definitely email me. mark@markpaulda.com. You are also invited to join my photography success text community. Send me a text. 915-226-0959. If you are outside the United States, be sure to include +1, the United States country code. I will catch you in the next episode.